So lately I've been slacking off a little bit on making videos, but I have been keeping busy. Over the last 4 weeks I built this chicken coop, with some help here and there from both my wife and my daughter. In this video, or perhaps more than one video, I'll walk you through the design and construction process. Like most big projects, it first starts with a trip to Home Depot. This was the first time I took advantage of their curbside pickup service after ordering online, and I have to say that was super convenient. I started by building the base out of some pressure-treated 4x4s. I joined those at the corners using a simple lap joint. First cut to length using my sliding miter saw, and then I used the sliding miter saw with a depth stop to cut halfway through near the ends for the lap joint. Using the depth stop and a stop block makes pretty quick work of cutting out all the lap joints for the 4x4s. Unfortunately, the 12-foot 4x4s were too long to cross-cut on my sliding miter saw station. So for those I had to use a skill saw to make those cross cuts for the lap joint. Once those were done, I could cut off the waste at the ends using my bandsaw. Outside, my wife Catherine worked at installing and leveling the 4x4 base, while I went back into the shop to start building up the 2x4 walls. I had a design in mind, but the detailed design sort of took shape during the construction process. At each stage, I'd take the iPad down to the shop with a spreadsheet cut list, and the design loaded in the SketchUp viewer, and I would mill up the next few parts. The frame consists of 4 simple 2x4 walls that I built in sections on the flat. It might be overkill, but I decided to join the pieces using lap joints. I marked all the pieces and then cut the cheek cuts of each joint using my crosscut sled. At the ends, I could cut away the waste using my bandsaw, but for the inside joints, I had to cut away the waste using my router. Since I'd already made accurate cheek cuts, this was easy enough to do freehand. Laid them on the ground and joined them using some glue and screws at each lap joint. My wife and daughter then set up each wall on some sawhorses for painting. With the base now leveled, I attached the lap joints with glue and screws and squared the base. Okay, I'll get in a little bit of an unboxing video. Since any good project has to come with some new toys, I've got a pneumatic stapler here. Unboxing I can handle, unzipping maybe not. No. Cool. A box of staples to go with it. Simple enough. We get another unboxing video because I also bought a framing nail. Unboxing another box. Instructions. I might actually read those since I've never used a framing nail. Alright, we got our oil, the charge of nails. Let's see how it works. And one more unboxing video. We also have a new angle grinder. Figured this would be a quick way to cut the wire mesh. Comes with a grinding disc. I bought some cutting wheels to mesh. There is a tool. There we go. Cutting disc on, left-handed. Okay, that's enough playing around with new toys. I actually bought the stapler primarily for attaching the 1/2-inch hardware cloth to the wall frames. The angle grinder was for cutting the hardware cloth. We got most of the way through making the wall frames and attaching the hardware cloth on that first Saturday. Okay, this is where we left off yesterday. We got all wall panel frames made, and I started the process of putting the hardware cloth, hard to see in the sunlight, it's so bright, on the frames, so we'll pick up from there today. So let's head down to the shop, stop for a moment to visit the ducks on the pond, and then head inside. I'll start today by making all of the rafters, cut at each end at a 14-degree angle that matches the roof pitch. Then I'll finish installing the hardware cloth, while my wife and daughter paint the rafters. I then recruit my wife and daughter to help me put up the walls. This is where I put that new framing nailer to use. I made the door off camera, but it was made the same way as the walls, with lap joints at the corners. The hardware cloth was then stapled to the frame, and I added diagonal braces to prevent the door from sagging. After a failed attempt to install it on my own, I recruited my future son-in-law to help. So on one of my many trips back to the shop, I decided to stop and visit our ducks. In addition to the domestic ducks that we're raising this year, we have 2 wild mallards that have been hanging around. We're pretty sure that the female is one of the ducks that my son Hayden raised from eggs about 5 years ago. She's been coming back every year. This year is the first time she was able to convince her mate to stick around. So before getting back to the coop, let's check in on our chickens in their current makeshift accommodations. Finally, I'll recruit my wife Catherine to help, and we'll raise the 4th wall. I then unload the last of the supplies acquired on the second run to Home Depot, before calling it for the weekend. Not bad for a weekend's work. We got the base made, the walls raised, the hardware cloth attached, the door installed, and framed the floor of the coop. I've been working on the coop design in SketchUp as the job progresses. I guess we'll pick it up from here in the next video. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and if you're interested in following along the rest of this project and other projects, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.